The Wonderful World of Darklords. Report 43. Agrabah. I believe that every child has heard tales of the beauty and splendor of Agrabah, and I can confirm that these tales are not exaggerated. The sight of the palace, its brilliant golden dome crowning an expanse of flawless marble, was extraordinary. So much so that one could easily overlook the desperate poverty of the starving street rats that filled the city's slums. Upon my arrival in Agrabah, well, I feel somewhat ridiculous mentioning this, for I am not given to superstition. The night has terrors enough without inventing one's own, but I could not escape a bone-deep sense of dread when I passed Agrabah's walls. Perhaps it is the memory of what befell me the last time I reported on a desert land. Perhaps it is because I have encountered Jafar's agents in the past, and he might take action if he's aware that I successfully prized his secrets from Sidira. I would not even mention it to you, but the intensity of the sensation feels meaningful. Either there's some warning here that I am not yet consciously aware of, or there's some sort of effect here taking hold of me. It is, in fact, such a powerful belief that I have been certain to have Death Ward active at all times from the moment I entered the city. I'm going to die here. The Lord. Of course, I have known for some time who wields the true power in Agrabah, and an audience with the Sultan confirmed it. Although he was a genial fellow, he spent our entire meeting asking me to demonstrate uses of misty visions and prestidigitation, reacting each time with the wonder and delight of an infant whose mother is, in fact, still there after covering her face with her hands. I could not imagine this jolly little cherub even knowing that Atlantis existed, much less sending agents there. His royal vizier, Jafar, was a different matter entirely, and while he doubtless sees himself as a singular force of ambition and resolve, my research painted a dull, commonplace picture that I had viewed innumerable times. Yes, Jafar had clawed his way to power from total obscurity, and yes, the person who most stood in the way of him realizing his goals, in this case the Sultana, who had been as well matched to her husband as a lioness to a dim-witted puppy, had conveniently died just before his ultimate ascent. Perhaps Jafar, Queen Narcissa, and Dr. Facilier should form some sort of social club. Once Jafar had attained the position of vizier, he gradually increased his influence over the Sultan, who was more than happy to trade the tedious affairs of state for various games and amusements. This, of course, gives Jafar ample opportunity to ensure that certain members of the court and the palace guard are primarily loyal to him rather than to the Sultan, and that these individuals are appointed to positions of particular power. The princess, Jasmine, has begun to oppose him by deliberately cultivating the support that her father takes for granted. I do not know how long it will be before she shares her mother's fate. Of course, from my encounters with Jafar's minions, I know that he craves not only political power, but magical power as well. Understandable, for since he claims no highborn blood, he can never hope for anything more than to serve at the pleasure of whatever nobles can stomach him. I suspect he may already be using magic to bolster his position. Eldritch Sight revealed that his staff radiates enchantment magic, which suggests that the Sultan's docility is not entirely natural. Furthermore, in addition to a familiar-looking ring of spell storing that still bore streaks of Mabel Pines' glitter paint, he wore a ring with such a powerful aura of conjuration that it almost hurt my eyes to look upon it. Its design was unfamiliar to me, a simple circle of tarnished metal, and although I am no artist, I have included my best attempt at a sketch in the hopes that you know more about it than I do. The land. A center of trade and culture, Agrabah is also a city of extremes, with peasants dying in squalor mere blocks from the gilded dome of the palace. Supposedly, the division was not so stark before Jafar's rise to power. The Sultana was no great reformer, but neither was she cruel, and as for the Sultan, well, he seems as likely to lead either positive or negative change as my patron is to commission a symphony. Now the throne seems bent on consolidating as much power and wealth as possible. Over the past year or so, however, Princess Jasmine has begun to advocate for social change. Confined behind the palace walls for the entirety of her childhood and adolescence, Jasmine recently made her first sojourn into the streets and was appalled by the desperate poverty she saw there. Only time will tell whether she can eventually gather enough support to effectively counter Jafar, or whether her inevitable nuptials will change the situation. Agrabahni law demanded that Jasmine marry a year ago, and while the Sultan's sole display of resolve has been to extend the deadline until she can find an acceptable suitor, her marriage cannot be postponed indefinitely. During even the brief time I was there, the palace received 2 sons of Vlad Drakov, a Delisnia who must have been either optimistic or delusional, and an emissary from Prince John, perhaps the only ruler less effective than her own father. If Prince John were to wed her, he might find the situation in Agrabah uncomfortably familiar. At roughly the time when Jasmine gained an interest in politics, gangs of street rats began specifically targeting the palace guards for robberies. Unlike in Sherwood, none have been murdered and left as sacrifices in the forest, or the desert in this case, but there are rumors that some of these commoners have procured magic items of their own. Perhaps this is simply a story the guards tell to salve their pride that a pack of malnourished peasants could get the better of them, but I suspect there is truth to the rumors. I have, after all, been informed that Jafar has been searching the streets for hirelings to seek out magic items for him. It is entirely plausible that some of them would decide the items were worth more than what their employer offered to pay. Unfortunately, I was unable to gain more information from the streets. Even if I used Mask of Many Faces to look as though I belonged, my inability to understand thieves' cant marked me as an outsider at best and a palace spy at worst. Dread possibilities. My sense of unease continued to grow the longer I remained in Agrabah. As I traveled to the palace for an audience with Princess Jasmine, which was remarkably easy to obtain as she is starved for interaction with anyone not seeking her hand, I spotted a dog scavenging for refuse. I remembered my most recent purchase from the peddler, the dog biscuit that would compel an animal to bring me something useful. Perhaps this one would bring me something that would set my mind at ease. I called the dog over and gave it the treat, and it scampered off into the crowd. A few moments later, it returned, carrying what appeared to be the broken-off spout of an old oil lamp. Well, it seemed that the peddler's goods were not always useful after all. I pocketed the useless junk with a sigh and continued to the palace. Jasmine told me little that I did not already know, but she was delightful company, forthright and quick-witted. She did mention that her desire for social reform had been spurred by meeting a kind-hearted peasant who had been executed on Jafar's orders, and expressed her outrage that the vizier was attempting to make the already desperate lot of Agrabah's poor even worse. I decided to share some of what I knew with her. I'm not surprised. Jafar is hiring from the streets for his own purposes. The more destitute the people are, the more eagerly they'll accept when that snake offers them a lucrative commission. At that moment, we heard the Sultan calling her from the menagerie, so Jasmine excused herself and left the room.
Snake, am I? Surely I can't be snake-like as that.
I would like to say that I neither gasped nor jumped a foot in the air, but that would be a lie. I whirled to see Jafar standing behind me. A brilliantly colored parrot flew from the direction to which Jasmine had just departed to alight on his shoulder. I gave him a tight smile. Jafar? It is lovely to meet you, but you'll have to excuse me. I was in the middle of a conversation with the princess.
I'm terribly sorry, but I'm afraid the princess is occupied.
Occupied?
I don't know how a parrot managed to have an insipid smile on its beak, nor how its voice could sound simultaneously imitative and malicious.
However, I'm pleased to have this opportunity to make your acquaintance.
Jafar's voice was so unctuous that I was certain a layer of grease was forming over my skin.
As Royal Vizier, I'm responsible for the comfort and safety of all of the guests of the palace.
How very reassuring to know that you're watching out for me.
Watching me?
Oh, I am. And I have been since the moment you set foot in Agrabah. The Sultan has enemies in all quarters, spies and thieves, serving those who are jealous of our wealth and prestige.
Then I'm happy to set your mind at ease. I'm a scholar, nothing more, and my patron is as well. Our only interest in your wealth and prestige is to document it so that other lands may know the splendor of Agrabah. In the blink of an eye, that oily purr was gone. He took a sudden step toward me, bending down so his face was inches from mine, and I knew my comparison had been accurate. His speed and fury reminded me of nothing so much as a striking serpent.
Don't be coy with me. I know all about you and your master. You're not the first of his children he's sent here searching for his precious stones, and you're not the first I'll send back to him in pieces.
He wanted me to cower, I'm sure, or perhaps to attack. Instead, I did the most dangerous thing that I could do to a man like Jafar. I laughed in his face. Wait, children still... Thanos? You think I'm working for Thanos? Jafar froze, his face going blank with genuine confusion, but then it twisted in rage.
We'll see how much you're laughing when I'm finished with you.
I was barely able to dodge out of the way before he unleashed an eldritch blast on the spot where I'd been standing. I cast Misty Step to give myself a head start and fled. Behind me, I could hear Jafar's voice echoing down the hall.
Guards, seize her. She's an enemy spy sent to assassinate the Sultan.
I will not relate every step of what happened along the way. Suffice it to say that I hope someday to pluck, roast, and eat that infernal parrot. It is nigh impossible to sustain the concentration necessary for spell work when a voice like rusted screws on glass is shrilling in one's ear. Furthermore, I am certain that the creature was Jafar's familiar. The vizier always seemed to know where I was and whether I had used some subterfuge such as Mask of Many Faces, and it was remarkably resistant to my attempts to bring it down. When I was able to hit it at all, as Jafar had cast invisibility on the damn thing. Eventually, after several narrow escapes from the palace guards and a few encounters with some highly unpleasant spells from Jafar, I found myself in a dead end, with all of my own magic exhausted. Was this why I had experienced such a sense of dread? Had I survived to this point only to be cut down by palace guards because Jafar believed I was working for that genocidal aubergine? At least the other dreadlords I've encountered have wanted to kill me for something I actually did. I felt that stupid, useless lamp spout in my pocket and pulled it out, intending to throw it against the wall. I wish you were here so I could demand my money back. Behind me, I heard a familiar voice.
If that's really what you want, I can arrange it, but I don't see how 100 gold pieces will help you here.
Parting thoughts. The peddler took out a ring of keys and unlocked a door that I was certain had not been there before. He guided me through a series of hallways, all of them bereft of guards, and all of them with doors that matched one of his keys. He met all of my questions with his usual obfuscation and frivolity, and I finally stopped trying to ask them and simply followed him from the palace. "I'm glad to see you made it out of Millennium City," I said when we were safely outdoors. "Thank you. I believe you saved my life today." His tone was uncharacteristically serious as he replied.
If you truly want to thank me, you can return the favor right now.
When I gave him a quizzical look, he elaborated.
There is nowhere in all the worlds that I would rather avoid than Agrabah. Only one thing could have compelled me to come here, and you're holding it right now. To you, it's valuable. I won't deny it. But to me, it's priceless. Give it to me, and I can do better than save your life.
That's an overwrought sales pitch even for you. Saving my life is a difficult feat to surpass. But as I looked down at the little piece of the lamp in my hand, the laughter died in my throat. It was made from the same tarnished metal as Jafar's ring, and I was sure that if I looked at it with eldritch sight, it would glow with the same painfully bright aura. I suddenly felt lightheaded, the edges of my vision going gray. A drop of blood fell from my nose to the lamp piece. There was something inside of me that wanted nothing more than to take it and go... Where? Not to you, Yansid, not to Darkon. I shuddered and thrust the lamp piece into the peddler's hands. Here, take it. I don't want it. He pocketed it.
1,000 thanks, Danielle.
I've never told you my name.
I'm sure you must have. How else would I know it?
He handed me a small, empty vial bearing a tag that said, "Drink me." I took it, feeling my brow furrow again. How am I supposed to drink from an empty bottle?
It's not for you to drink. It's to take you where you need to go the next time you enter the mists.
Oh, thank you, but the next time I enter the mists will be to visit my patron. It's a matter of some urgency.
If you have ever trusted me on anything, trust me on this. You want to go where the vial will take you.
I studied the vial more closely, but I could discern nothing of its provenance. When I looked up to ask him what he meant, he was gone. I sighed and slipped it into the same coin purse his dogs had stolen in Millennium City. Of course, I have no intention of going anywhere but Darkon. I am certain that my sudden bout of dizziness and my dreams are connected. My hand still seizes when I attempt to go into more detail, but Jafar, of all people, has given me a way to approach this laterally. His misconception about my patron and my purpose was depicted on the second poster in Litwalk. I cannot write the name in conjunction with my dreams. I've not even been able to do so in my personal writings, but all of them, everyone, every dream, him and me. Even writing that much has exhausted me. I shall leave this place and return to Darkon, but I feel faint. I need a moment to... I apologize, Aslan. I must take a moment to rest, although I dread doing so, for Jafar's minions are likely still searching for me. I will make my ways to the mists when I can. Regards, D.
In hierarchical monarchies, sovereignty over an empire is traditionally passed to a worthy heir upon the monarch's death. However, the right of conquest may allow for another powerful family to replace the royal line. All functional societies crave a strong leader, especially when one's ruler places their own entertainment above matters of state. A desperate populace, discontent with their decadent sultan, might even accept the low-born vizier as their ruler, if he managed to gather enough strength around him. Even if he successfully supplanted the sultan, history would show him as nothing more than a peasant that debased himself to claw his way into Agrippa's throne. The legitimacy of his rule would be under constant scrutiny, and the sultan's relatives, no matter how distant, would always have the greater claim. One may conclude this is why he so desperately seeks to reforge the lamp. My little scholar has located 2 pieces of the lamp. More remain. There are undoubtedly additional pieces scattered throughout Agrabah, and perhaps in other domains as well. Make note of them as you cross their paths. You must also continue to cultivate your relationship with this peddler. Doing so shall benefit us both. At this time, it is imperative that you return to Darkon, Danielle. Do not delay, and do not utilize the mist talisman you were gifted, no matter how tempting. Your suffering need not continue.
Dear Father, I believe I have found the object of both Aslan's and Jafar's interest, a broken lamp that, when mended, will be the conjuration stone. Aslan all but confirmed it through his desire to know the location of its components. Jafar has one piece of the stone, as does the peddler. It is plausible, given the reports of magic in the streets, that an Agrabanian peasant has an additional piece. Having not seen the stone in its entirety, I cannot speculate on its specific uses, although I have previously shared my insights on the role that conjuration in general can play in your work. I regret to report that my other self was able to reveal your involvement to Aslan, although the effort weakened her enough that I was able to take control and implicate Jafar. I will attempt to suppress her for as long as possible to prevent my departure for Darkon. You need not worry about Aslan intervening on her behalf in the meantime. He has dismissed her fears in the past, and will continue to do so. Whatever she may tell herself, she means nothing to him, and he will be no help to her now that she has found his prize. Danielle is, as ever, a helpless child. So long as I am able to keep her restrained in her own mind, no one will come to save her. It appears that my sister has arrived. Whether to extract or kill me, I cannot say. I suppose her course of action will reveal whether sister is an accurate address. Regardless, it seems that this chapter of my service, and of my life, has come to an end. One way or another, Danielle Denny will die here. Hail then. This has been The Wonderful World of Darklords. We have no affiliation with Disney or Wizards of the Coast. All music recordings used in this episode are in the public domain and were obtained through museopen.org. Titles and links are in the show notes. Dialogue for Yensid was written by Aslan Rex himself, who you can follow on Tumblr at DarklordAslan. The Wonderful World of Darklords logo was designed by Haylight Jones. You can find links to their work in the show notes. If you'd like to support the show, look for us on patreon.com or find our tip jar on Red Circle. Thanks for listening. Hello, dear listeners. We are pretty clearly going to need an episode in between this one and the next one to find out what happens to Dee there. So for non-patrons, that episode is going to drop on March 1st. For patrons, you only have to wait a week. The joys of advanced access. Speaking of things that might sound like shameless plugs to join our Patreon, we are going to start the nominations for our Listener's Choice next month, and that is a patrons-only perk, so if you have a nomination that you're interested in giving, then now's the time to jump on board and get access to this episode 9 days earlier than you normally would in the bargain. So, we'll catch up with Dee then. Thank you so much for listening. Happy gaming, and Hail Thanos.